turns it into a strength because it ties in with the idea of how we deal with aging and how we face death, as in the Kobayashi Maru. For starters, we don't grow a beard like Grizzly Adams, McCoy. Kirk and Spock discuss things briefly, including his present to Kirk, an antique copy of A Tale of Two Cities. Bones' present is practical, albeit less than flattering. A pair of glasses, since Kirk can't use the 23rd century equivalent of LASIK. He also ties back into the only theme running through all Kirk's films, the need to captain the Enterprise. In TNP, he pushed himself back into position. Now it's Bones advising him to go back so that he won't fade away. But hanging in the background is his remark about it being a job for the young. And here we meet the Reliant, NCC 1864, which so happens to be the year of Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, one of the pioneering works in science fiction. With so many literary allusions in the film, I just figured it was worth mentioning. Anyway, it seems Chekhov has done pretty well for himself, being made first officer under the always awesome Paul Winfield. They're looking for a lifeless planet for Project Genesis and think City Alpha 6 might be useful. They contact Dr. Marcus. Her son has misgivings about working with Starfleet, but if you want to drop a giant planet-altering bomb, it's probably not something you'll be allowed to do without their involvement. Anyway, she says it's okay if the tiny preanimate matter they think is not true, but that requires going down there to check, and no matter what the era, there's always the job to send down the two senior-most officers for simple reconnaissance. So Chekhov and Captain Terrell beam down and wander through the sandstorm to a shelter. Inside they find all manner of evidence that this shelter has been assembled into a kind of home from whatever materials were on hand. We see a bookshelf holding Paradise Lost, Moby Dick, Dante's Inferno, King Lear, the Bible, and the real page-turner, Statute Regulating. I don't think even Khan ever got bored enough to finish that one. The sight of a seatbelt with Botany Bay on it makes Chekhov realize where they are, and they rush to leave, but are confronted by the residents. Blow wind and crack your cheeks, rage, blow. You cataracts and hurricane noses, how till you have drenched our people. I tax you, you elements, with unkindness. I never gave you a kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscription. Unmasking, we find this strange man to not actually be Tony Stark under that, but Khan himself. He approaches and identifies Chekhov, though it's a much-repeated continuity error in that Chekhov wasn't on the show when Space Seed was done. Walter Koenig has said that he believes Chekhov was a low-ranking officer on board at the time who probably made Khan wait an extraordinarily long time to use the bathroom. I like that. So picture this. The Enterprise Forward, Khan, the great Superman, standing in the hallway, repeatedly twisting and turning his legs with growing impatience, until finally Chekhov emerges and tells him it seems to be clogged and he needs to find another one on a different desk. This scene just takes on a whole new level of menace then, doesn't it? I never get away with the Chekhov. They explain the backstory of Khan and company and how they got exiled here, but also that City Alpha 6 just blew up one day. I have no idea how that just happened. Best guess? Khan took his shirt off, and his genetically enhanced Latin body was just too much for it to take. Anyway, it's all too clear how he holds Kirk responsible for his exile and for never bothering to check up on his colony. 200 years ago, I was the prince. And of course, what title was bestowed on Satan in Paradise Lost by his followers? That of prince, of course, which further solidifies Khan's role in them. Darkened so. He had shown above them all the archangel, but his face deep scars of thunder had entrenched, and care sat on his faded cheek. But under brows of dauntless courage and considerate pride waiting revenge. Cruel his eye, but cast signs of remorse and passion to behold the fellows of his crime. It's been stated that the film has been based somewhat on Moby Dick, but to be more accurate, it is that Moby Dick serves as an inspiration to our villain. Its site there shows us that Khan has had little else to do but to read his few books and watch his wife and comrades perish. If you've not read Moby Dick, you probably still know the basics. That a great white whale called Moby Dick bit off the leg of one Captain Ahab, and that Ahab seeks to now kill it in revenge. In the end, his obsession causes him to die and his vessel to be sunk. What you probably don't know is that he's one small part of the overall book, a minor backdrop that most throughout the first 80% of the novel, filled with reflections on whale anatomy and historical facts of the references about whales, and Ishmael talking on end about how much he loves to squeeze his hands with pools of sperm. It's probably no coincidence that one entire chapter of this novel is devoted just to Ishmael describing how much he enjoyed snuggling in bed next to his friend Queequeg, which is Polynesian for Harry Kim. But aside from the fact that Moby Dick is the first American classic disguised as a gay action piece, it provides us in Captain Ahab perhaps the most well-known archetype for vengeance of the modern era. Probably all modern instances of someone foolishly obsessed to the point of doom can trace back in some way to him. So it's no surprise that Khan sees some of Ahab as himself. For throughout most of the book, Ahab's only real sign of caring more about his vengeance than his duty is when he refuses to put in to shore to get supplies to repair Pharaoh's leaking whale oil. Otherwise, there's nothing really out of sorts when the captain of a whaling ship hopes to kill a specific whale when they're out here to kill whales, after all. Except to his loyal first mate, who would prefer to just do the job and go home. Outside of that obsession, Ahab seems no worse a man than any other captain. Certainly better than the one described in the story within the story of the vessel called Tom Ho, whose captain, Stumpleton Progress, only promised not to flog his men, but chooses to be stubborn instead. Significance of three of the great literary works on Khan's shelf that we've discussed so far, Moby Dick, King Lear, and Paradise Lost, is that each of them has a main character who can arguably be considered to be a tragic hero. King Lear, of course, was a strong warrior king who sought to enjoy his retirement, only to be stabbed in the back by his two-faced daughters. He must have reminded Khan what it was like to rise up and achieve so much, only to have it all snatched away and be reduced to nothing. Satan, who sought to usurp and become king, finds himself and his followers cast out, leaving him to fight for whatever small chances of easing the suffering of him and his people. No doubt reminds Khan of how he was banished here and continually surrounded by loyal followers suffering and dying from his failed revolt. And like Ahab, Khan knows that every hardship he now suffers stems ultimately from his banishment by Kirk. Every catastrophe a small reminder of that fact. It had not been very long prior to the Pequod sailing from Nantucket that he had been found one night lying prone upon the ground and insensible by some unknown and seemingly inexplicable, unimaginable casualty. His eyes having been so violently displaced that it had stake-wise smitten and all but pierced his groin. Nor was it without extreme difficulty that the agonizing wound was entirely cured. Nor at the time had it failed to enter his monomaniac mind that all the anguish of that then-present suffering was but the direct issue of a former woe. So the references to Moby Dick throughout the film are by Khan's own doing, for as a character who has been so high to be brought so low as to ultimately thought not just of reacquiring power, but of vengeance. It should be noted how Khan is twice fallen, first having lost his position of leadership when the Argonauts were overthrown, and then to later and independently be banished here, in hell, as again shown by Khan's shelf as Dante's infernal prison. But while Khan moves over Kirk, together that they came to this world thinking he was steady out the stick, and wants to know why. He picks Chekhov up by the conveniently provided boss me around handle, but still refuses, so Khan takes out some wire bait from the steady heel to keep his head, which fall into your ear and make it suggestible, along with giving the audience the heebie-jeebies. Meanwhile, the Enterprise bridge crew shows up to do an inspection to see how well the trainees can handle things. Throughout the scenes that follow, the continued ability and nature of Kirk is present, as he is surrounded by all these young faces reminding him of how old he now feels, and at the same time filling him with nervousness at the thought of such inexperienced people being in control. Meanwhile, as the scientists at Regular One finish up Genesis, someone has turned into the All Brainwash channel, where Chekhov is saying they're coming to pick up Genesis for testing, and says it was authorized by Kirk. Note the long pause, by the way, and Chekhov stating that fact, as if he was trying not to say it. The scientists are pissed and go off to vent with the game of Magic the Gathering, when we see that, as expected, the Reliant is now under the control of Khan and Indian Tech, who can both take Genesis and draw Kirk into a trap with one single movement. But the scientists, meanwhile, face the issue.
Parsons' interpretation of the video. I cannot and will not subscribe to your interpretation of the video.
So we now know how long it's been since Archer got kicked upstairs to Captain of Death. Meanwhile, on Enterprise, Davok and Kirk share a turbo lift on which they discuss the Kobayashi Maru scenario, and Kirk evades answering how he handled the test. After that, they get a message from Carol Marcus asking what the hell is going on, but it's quickly jammed, and Enterprise is then sent to go check it out. As the ranking officer, Kirk should take command, but he's leery of taking it from Spock. Spock, of course, doesn't have a problem with it, although the last guy that had Kirk do this to him was demoted, then turned into light beams by a bald robot girl. But of course, just because something happens